You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
I am when I press the right button. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. Wherever you are in the world, one of those is sure to apply to you. How are you doing? Match week 2 already. I am a mere 19 days off disappearing to Australia and giving you 5 weeks rest from me. So make the most of me while you've got me. That's what I say. You may disagree with that more than likely. But this is LTID TV1 from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us on YouTube if that is your viewing pleasure, or Twitch if that is your choice. Either way, please do get your comments into the chat down the whichever side it is as you look at it. And if you're watching on catch up, add your comments below. Really, really do appreciate it. And of course, if you're listening via your favorite podcast platform, thank you very much for lending me your ears. We're back. Are you used to being in the Premier League yet? I mean, I thought we were going to have a lot of hassle with VAR. It was like it just didn't exist on Saturday. Well, on Monday night, I should say. I don't think that's going to last, is it?
The Premier League is back, and we've got it all covered here on Leicester Till I Die TV. Subscribe.
You can follow us on all our main socials. Just look for LTID TV, and you will find us. It's Fulham, 3 o'clock Saturday, and I am really pleased to say I've got a really good guest coming in today. Russ Goldman from Cottage Talk. We're going to discuss the game coming up on Saturday, and we'll be giving predictions and talking ex-players and all sorts, because this is the preview show. Russ, good evening or good morning, whatever time you happen to be, time zone you are in over there. How the devil are you, sir?
Thank you for having me on. I look forward to talking to you about this match. I'm actually on the East Coast of the United States, outside of Boston, Massachusetts. That's where I'm located. And I look forward to doing this. You've had Emilio on a bunch of times, so I'm glad that I now have an opportunity to talk to you.
You do indeed. You do indeed. We finally meet like two ships in a night. Everyone is well, a couple of people saying hello. Dino is in his favourite Leicester shirt. Just for you, Dino. I knew you were watching, you see. And Ronald is in as well. Hi, Ronald. And Dino says good evening. Look, did you miss us while we were away?
Did I miss Leicester City or the podcast, or both?
Leicester City. I'm not presuming you would miss the podcast. There's plenty of those about. But Leicester City, it seems strange that we've been away, but hurtful still nonetheless.
Well, to be honest with you, I've always had a soft spot for Leicester City going back to when you won the title, and I wanted that to happen. And I've been actually hoping that you would do well. I'm glad that you came back up. In fact, I made a terrible prediction. I'll share it with you right now. I actually predicted on a show that you would end up sixth and you got relegated. So that tells you how bad I was. But I truly like to see Leicester City do well. Now you have a former Fulham player on this. So we could talk about that. But the one interesting thing about Leicester City is that I look at what happened to your club, and it's funny because I do have a little bit of a parallel to a club like Brighton and Hove Albion, because I've heard about all the great things, what they do, buy and that they sell all their players and then they buy players. And I think that only lasts for a certain period of time. And I think it might have caught up to Leicester City a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong, Chris, but that's kind of where I'm going on that. When you
right. We look, we're not poor. We've got a billionaire owner, but we're not up there with the Chelseas or the Man Cities or the Newcastles. And the problem is, and I hope Brighton don't get into this sort of the same trap that we did, is that you have a little bit of success, and of course your fans and the club as well want more success, and you go for it, and that means you have to sort of try and compete, and that means spending more money. But you've got to remember that every club has the money, we're just not allowed to spend it under PSR rules. And we have to, we couldn't sell Tielemans, or he didn't want to go. He wanted to wait until he run his contract down, and he has that right, but that did not help us at all. He could have signed a contract with a get out clause in it, but he didn't want to. That's his choice. And we sailed very close to the wind, and we got caught up in it. How long we will be back here for, I don't know, because obviously we've got the points deduction hanging over us. But I don't know. Maybe if Manchester City get their just desserts, we might just manage to finish 19th and not 20th. They get one as well. But right. I want to start off by talking, and thank you, Pete, for your kind words there. Yep. I want to talk managers. Yours isn't new. Ours is. I must admit, when he first came in, he hasn't had a brilliant record in the Premier League, has he, Marco Silva? But I've got to say, you must be at least reasonably happy with him.
I'm more than reasonably happy with him. I'm very happy with him, to be honest with you. And there was a lot of controversy, Chris, when he came to Fulham because of what you just said. His record in the Premier League was okay, but it wasn't stellar. So you're thinking, okay, it didn't work at Everton. It might have worked at Watford. It didn't work at Hull. What are we getting? But the thing that I always looked at, well, it did work for a while at Everton. And the fact that Everton wanted him and took him away from Watford showed me something. So I was open to Marco coming. And then I basically did my research on him. And I saw, well, wait a minute, this might be a very good manager for Fulham for what I want them to be, which is a team on the front foot, a team that is not going to just sit back. We just came out of the situation with Scott Parker with Parker Ball, and I wanted the polar opposite, Chris, and we got that. And and it's funny because you ask a lot of Fulham supporters, and when you're asked about Marco Silva, if you ask a Fulham supporter, they're going to respond one word to you: genius. That's the word that a lot of Fulham supporters use to describe Marco Silva. And to be honest with you, he's an excellent manager. The best in my period of being a Fulham supporter, I go all the way back to Roy in 2007. So for me, it's pretty close between Hodgson and Silva. And then I would put a couple of other managers behind that. Savisa was a very good manager. But Marco's a different level. Marco has huge ambition, and he's trying to push our ownership to match his ambition. I mean, I got to be honest with you. He wants Fulham into Europe, and I was told from a source that not only does he want Fulham to Europe, he wants them to contend for Champions League, to someday get into the Champions League. Those are high goals Fulham are nowhere near there, but they could contend for Europe even this season. So his ambition is huge. And as a supporter, I love that. I love the fact that he has this huge ambition because it kind of matches mine. I don't want just to see Fulham be a mid-table club. I call it mid-table mediocrity, Chris. I actually love to do what Leicester City did. Even for one season, I would love that. I've said it. I said, why can't we do what Leicester City did? Why can't we? And who actually gave the blueprint for clubs like ours to say, well, wait a minute, if Leicester City can do it, why can't we do it? So that's one of the reasons why I hold your club in high regard. Because you won the league and you did it in very good fashion, and you gave clubs of our size hope.
The one, yeah, I mean, that's the thing that we kind of come of age that season, but we were everybody's favourite second club. And I think, yes, it's gone wrong now, but hopefully clubs can look at us and go, look, there's no reason why not. Yes, I mean, the 6 clubs there, the big 6 that don't want want it to happen again, but that's not to say that it can't. And, we've given clubs the chance to dream. And then also we've given clubs the chance, well, hang on a second, don't go mad. Do you know what I mean? Because, we did. That's to say, we just took that. We didn't go quite as bad as Leeds when they sort of dropped all the way down to the 3rd tier and went bust and all that. We didn't quite get that bad, but hopefully clubs look at us, and they're now saying the Brighton way, like they used to say the Leicester way. So if we can give clubs ambition, then something good has come out of it. Do you know what I mean? But
right.
I think you probably have the same problem as us. I mean, extending your stadium is very hard, unless you want to sort of play water polo. So that kind of, I suppose it restricts what you can, because you can only get so many fans in. You can therefore only spend so much money.
Right, Chris. And what's interesting about this is that the Cons are trying to find another way, which I find interesting. And if you watch the match, you'll see that the Riverside stand still is not complete. But ultimately, what they've tried to do, or what they are going to do with the Riverside stand, is that they want to make it a venue that can be used all year round, meaning that they're going to have restaurants, they're going to have all these things, they're going to have a hotel back there as well. And they're trying to get revenue streams that will basically, I guess you could say, supplement not having a 50 to 60,000 seat arena. So I think part of their plan, and they're going to really depend on corporate money. I think there's a reason why Craven Cottage and especially the Riverside Stand are some of the most expensive tickets in world football, is because they're trying to find a way to compete against the Big 6. And I think that's what they're trying to do. I'm not saying that they're going to be able to do it, but I think their plan is ultimately, I mean, listen, Shad Khan is one of the richest owners in the Premier League, but you just brought it up. Because of the financial constraints of the rules, he's not willing to just spend whatever he wants. So you have to find a way. And my hope, Chris, is that the Premier League basically adopts a different business model that might, and I say might, make clubs like our size be able to compete against these teams. I think that there, unfortunately, is such a bias towards these Big 6 that it makes it difficult. But I'm hoping, and I've heard some stuff that potentially it might go down the road that we might be able to compete, maybe not on the level that I want, but be more competitive and have more great stories like Leicester City. The problem is that the system, the way it's built to protect those Big 6 and keep clubs like ours in our place, I guess you could say. It's a class system, and it drives me nuts. And I'm sorry to go crazy on your show about that.
No. Don't worry about it at all, because we are. And I think, I look at Fulham, and I still don't think of Leicester as a big club. We're 32,000 approximate capacity. But like you, our owners have bought a huge chunk of land between the stadium and the main road, and they're going to build a mall, a hotel, an exhibition, a concert hall, an exhibition hall, a concert hall. Like you say, to bring that extra money in to try and compete, because it's sport at the end of the day, and we need to be able to compete. If you haven't got competition, then sport really, it's nothing, and I do think that, clubs like Fulham, like ourselves, like Luton when they came up, Brighton, we've got as much right to be there as those other six. And yes, I know they bring the money in, and I know that people in America, no disrespect, but, a lot of Americans want to watch Man United against Chelsea rather than sort of maybe Leicester against Fulham. But, like you say, if we can have more of our sort of stories that got us that trophy, hopefully they will then start to, appreciate that there are more than 6 teams in the English league.
There are, Chris, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I actually went to a Premier League Summer Series in Philadelphia last year, and I got to see all these other clubs represented. And what disappointed me was, again, that most of it was the big clubs. My club was there, Brentford was there, but you had, and I'll put Aston Villa in there, Newcastle were there.
Yeah.
But the focus is so much on these big clubs here in America, and it disappoints me, because the history that Fulham have here in America is very good, with American players, an American owner. And I got to tell you that here with NBC Sports, they treat Fulham like they're going to be a relegated team, and it really disappoints me. I watched the Manchester United match, and you thought it was you thought Manchester United were the only team playing, and it really upset me, because it should be a neutral broadcast, but it wasn't. And when I listen to, and I listen to a lot of broadcasts coming from England, it's the same thing. It's so slanted towards these big clubs. And again, I apologize to the audience for going here, but when I look at Leicester and I look at Fulham, there are a lot of comparisons and a lot of good things from both of these clubs. And that's why I have nothing against your club. Nothing. In fact, I have a lot of respect for it, and I want it to do well. And I would rather see your club do well than see Liverpool do well, Manchester United do well.
Yes.
That would make me happy if we had another Leicester City story of winning the title, because I think we need more of that.
Oh, yeah, and we would be the same as well, in the Premier League. And I speak to people sort of that have been associated with the Premier League and the EFL. And they say that the Premier League promote the Leicester story to promote the Premier League. But it does feel like they don't want it to happen again. But look, such is life. But look, like you say, we all sort of we hope it will sometimes or soon repeat itself in one form or another. But look, last season, we finished top eventually by the skin of our teeth, 17 points clear at one point, and then nearly threw it away. You finished 13th. You're pretty much clear. You were never going to be in relegation trouble. Was that a disappointment last season?
The easy answer for me is yes. And I will tell you why. Because at the beginning of the season, I made a prediction which people still come to me and say, how could you make that prediction? I made it before the season began. Mitrovic was still a Fulham player at the time. So keep this in mind. I predicted, because Fulham were 10th the year before, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go with the masses that are saying Fulham are going to be 13th, 14th, 16th. I'm going to be bold, and I'm always bold, and I'm always positive, and I predicted 7th. So obviously that didn't happen. And Mitrovic leaving had a great deal to do with that. And it took a long time for Fulham to find their shape, find their best starting 11. It took a while, because the Mitrovic sucker punch really hurt Fulham. So they finally found it around Christmas time, when they actually on I believe it was New Year's Eve, I think it was, where they beat Arsenal, and then they beat Manchester United. And the one thing that I noticed, Chris, that was different from the year before, even though Fulham ended 13th, this is why I am very excited about this season, is that season 2 seasons ago, they didn't were not able to beat a top 6 team. Now they're doing it. Even though they ended 13th, they dropped points against the teams that they should have, but they were beating the better teams, and that showed progression to me. So yes, it's 13th. Yes, it's disappointing, but if you look at the progression of Fulham, it's actually, for me, a better season than the season prior, because they showed that they are heading in the right direction, and that the manager's got them believing, being as vicious as he is. And that, to me, is a big step in the right direction. When you can beat Manchester United and Arsenal in the same season, for a club like Fulham, that's massive.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And in fairness as well, when you look at the league, anything from 10 to 15, it could be in any order, really. It's and you're only a few points off that. But I mean, I've got you. You'll probably hate me now for saying this, because I did do a pre-prediction with Rob Tanner, who works for The Athletic, which is actually owned by the New York Times, of course. Yep. And I won't tell you where he's got you, but okay. I've actually got you down as finishing 11th.
Oh, okay. That's great. I appreciate that. Should I tell you where I have us?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Well, I doubled down, Chris. I predicted 7th once again.
You did.
And I said, you know what? If I'm going to be a believer in this team and believer in Marco Silva and the players that he brought in, I'm going to go for it again. And I went for it again, and I'm probably delusional, but wouldn't be the first time that I was being delusional. But you know what? I'm just someone that believes in Silva. I believe in what he's building. And that's when we started our conversation. You asked me about him. I wouldn't be saying this. I wouldn't be believing this if it wasn't for him. If Silva leaves, it all falls apart, Chris. This team is built around Marco Silva's vision. This is his team now. And the players that they're bringing in now are more suited for the way he wants to play. That's also why I am very bullish on this season. And it's funny, because you're probably thinking, how could I say that after they lost their best player in João Palhinha? And it's a fair question. But the thing about it is, what I've watched them do in the market is build, I think, in the team that this manager wants. And I think we're going to play slightly more on the front foot than they have in the 2 seasons that we did in the Premier League. I think that's ultimately what he wants, because when you bring in players like Emile Smith-Rowe, now you're bringing in a Sander Berge, which is different than having a João Palhinha, defensive midfielder, but it's a different type of defensive midfielder. It shows me what he ultimately wants. He wants Fulham to play on the front foot and take it to teams. And we're great on the counterattack, but I think he wants us to be more progressive against teams probably like yours and teams that are not the top 6. But I think even against the top 6, I think he might want us to be more going forward than we normally would the last 2 seasons. So for me, I'm very excited about this season. I've seen the predictions. I know they're probably going to be people that are going to predict us to be relegated, and I'll just laugh because I don't know what they've been watching. I don't know what they're seeing, because there's nothing in this team that says relegation. There's nothing.
I think you'll be be far from relegation, to be honest with you. But I mean, I'm just looking at your transfer window. Yes, so it's not closed yet, obviously, but you've lost Palhinha. But one player doesn't make a team. How often has a club gone and bought a player who is brilliant in another team, they come into yours and they struggle? But I mean, you've made some great signings. Sessegnon was a free. Smith-Rowe, brilliant buy in my eyes. Cuenca from Villarreal, and as you've just said there, and as Luke the True Redder said, Sander Berge from Burnley.
That's right.
You definitely not. Well, not you, but Silva is not resting on his laurels, is he?
No, not at all. And he's actually really, honestly, Chris, trying to push the cons for more and more and more, just like any other manager. But I think this season, with us surviving the first 2 seasons, I think that's why you're seeing us spend more money this summer. And I don't think it's an accident. It's funny because we are, and I'm just waiting for the announcement. It looks like Fulham are going to sign a former Fulham player in Joachim Anderson, because our two weaknesses, I could say, coming into this match against Leicester City are right-sided center back. And then I would say the situation with Paulinho, that if I'm Steve Cooper, that's where I would be targeting, because those have been the weaknesses of Fulham. Issa Diop is okay, but they need an upgrade. They need someone they can count on. And hopefully Joachim Anderson will be that player. I don't expect Sander Berge to play for Fulham against Leicester City, but they do have enough in central midfield right now to basically wait their time until Berge is ready. They did it last week against Manchester United. They were fine in central midfield, even though people will point out to the loss of Paulinho. By the way, Paulinho didn't play last year when Fulham beat Manchester United. So I like their signings and the ones that have left. And we can certainly talk about Bobby Decordova-Reid. Be happy to talk to you about him, because
we will be coming on to him in a bit, definitely. But I just want to quickly talk about the opening game. I mean,
sure.
From our point of view, I was very worried going into the game because of our pre-season form. Look, our pre-season has been, we took the rule book and ripped it up and threw it out the window. We lost our manager, we lost our best player. We're having to let players go because of PSR. A new manager coming in with a different philosophy. Although, having said that, in a lot of ways, I think a better philosophy. We had an awful, and I mean an awful pre-season. And I know it's only pre-season, but that's what we judge the team on.
Right.
And we came out against Spurs. And we were defending like the Confederates, at facing the Union. I mean, it was in that first half. And in the second half, I mean, we could have snatched it.
Right.
I had you down for your opening game. Not an easy game, Manchester United, let's be honest with you. But I had you down for a draw on that game in the predictions. Now, I have to say, I mean, a couple of people here have said you need to take your chances. Yes, you do.
Right.
And I don't think Fulham did in that game. And they also, they would have said it was a wonder goal. I don't think it was. It was just a good goal. But
no, it was a good goal. It was a good goal, Chris.
It was a good goal, but not. When I looked back, I expected an overhead kick from the halfway line or something. The way people were describing it. But then that's Man United, isn't it? But look. I a little bit disappointed that you sort of didn't take your chances.
Yeah.
I think you'll look back and think that's a point we should have come away with.
Oh, absolutely, Chris. What's interesting, because you were talking about your preseason, I can tell you part of the reason why I was feeling so positive going into the Manchester United match. Not only did we beat Manchester United last season, which made me positive, it was our preseason was very good. It was really good. And I could see the influence of Emile Smith-Rowe. I could see Adama Traore on one side, Alex Iwobi on the other side, and thinking, oh, wow, this could really be exciting. And for the first 15 to 20 minutes, it was. But what ended up happening was, and credit to Erik ten Hag, I'm not a big fan of his. He adjusted. We learned after the match when Anthony Robinson was on with NBC Sports, he basically said what happened. He said, listen, we were on top for 15 to 20 minutes. They adjusted their press, and we kept going into the press until the half. And that's why things were looking the way that they did. And then Silva adjusted it for the second half. That's why things changed in the second half. That's why managers are very important with their adjustments to change things. And he did. So I want to give a lot of credit to the manager, but also the players. But what was frustrating is, like you had mentioned, there were opportunities there, the missed opportunities by two of the players that were just great in preseason, Adama Traore and Alex Iwobi. And then, of course, you have the chance by Andres Pereira, and he makes the wrong decision. And 2-on-1, you have to at least challenge the goalkeeper, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And those are situations, like you said, we're going to look back at it and say, you know what, that was a point dropped. And that also, Chris, talks about how far Fulham have come. The fact that I'm talking like that,
Yes.
it's actually very encouraging. And because Fulham, this project in the Premier League really has progressed. And now we're starting to see the fruits of all the hard work and the players coming in. Emile Smith-Rowe is not ready yet to be going 90 minutes. He just isn't. And he tired out. And that's why I believe they had a plan, I could tell, just to play him 60 minutes. And he tired out. So once we're good to go, I really like this team. And I know we're going to have more signings as well. But that's why I'm positive. I mean, the Manchester United, it was a loss, but there was a lot to like about the performance for Fulham.
Yes, yeah. And we've got Brad there, LTID TV2. Good evening, Brad. Honestly, more worried about Fulham than I was Spurs. We'll be delighted with a point. I think this is a game that both sides, and we're not disrespecting you, and I'm not going to disrespect us with this either.
Absolutely not.
But when you look at the start of the season and you think, right, we've got Liverpool. Well, if we get anything from that, Liverpool away, we'll be lucky. And then there's certain games that you look at. And I'm sure Fulham are looking at Leicester, newly promoted side, thinking this is one we can get 3 points from. And, as a Leicester fan, I'm looking at it and thinking, yeah, this is one we should be going for 3 points.
Right. And I agree with that from both of our perspectives. You should go into Craven Cottage with the idea that you can get 3 points. You absolutely should. When you're looking at the fixtures, you're probably pointing at this match thinking, okay, here's an opportunity. You should. But so should Fulham. Fulham should feel like they can get 3 points. And if they don't, then it's a major disappointment. They should feel confident, though. Like I said, for me, the players should feel confident, not just from what happened at Manchester United, but how they've come together as a team and played in this preseason, that they can take it to you and win this match. But the thing is, as you just saw it against Manchester United, if they do not take their chances, they are open for a club like yours to get all 3 points. You have a good manager. I have a lot of respect for Steve Cooper. I think he's a good manager. I know the manager that you lost. Good luck to him with 40 players at Chelsea. Good luck. Don't, I hate to say this, Chris, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Good luck. Good luck to you. If you want to take that project on, good luck to you. I feel sorry for you, actually. So
I think the thing is with a job like, and I understand why he took it. Do not get me wrong. I totally get it that when you're offered these jobs, you have to take it. We all do in real life. Somebody came knocking on my door and said, I'll give you an extra 10 grand a year to come and do the same job for me. I'd be out there doing it. It was just the way that it happened was a little bit annoying, But there we go. Like you say, good luck. He'll be out of work by Christmas, just in time for Panto.
That's right.
And I don't know if you know, in American, if you know about British pantomimes and what they are, but basically it's a Christmas tradition.
Okay.
This is something else. I'm not sure whether you'll know, because this is very much an English. I think it is an English, definitely cartoon. Danger Mouse. You probably haven't heard of him, but
no, I haven't.
I hadn't put two and two together and realised that where you were from. But my sense of you, I've taken Danger Mouse to make it a Danger Man. You've lost Paulinho, like you say. Mitrovic went earlier. Who's going to be the player that's going to cause Leicester the most trouble?
That's a great question. I want to say, I'm going to say it right now based on the glimpses that I've seen, and I'm going to say it's going to be Emile Smith-Rowe.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there because, Chris, what I saw in preseason, and again, we're just talking about one half of football in each match. This is a player that I'm not saying that, I'm still rubbing, the top of my head thinking, how did we get this player from Arsenal? Because he's that good. I'm telling you, we know how good he's going to be. We could see it. So for me, if this player gets in the box, he's very dangerous, and that's what's great about him. He's a finisher in the box. And if Marco plays him the way that he played him in the last match in the number 10 role, I think he's going to thrive. He can also play him out wide on the left, but I have a feeling you'll see him in the number 10 role. And he's already made good partnerships with Alex Iwobi. And if there was another player that I would say is a danger player, it would be Iwobi. Iwobi and Emile Smith-Rowe, the players that I would be concerned about if I was a Leicester City supporter.
Yeah. Going to ask you about a Leicester player now. I don't, expect you to know an awful lot, but you're going to know of him, and I think you might know more than most of our players. If you see the team sheet at 2:00 on Saturday, yep, and there's a certain Mr. Jamie Vardy on that starting 11, is that something that would worry you?
Even now, I would say absolutely. Absolutely. Jamie Vardy is still a goal scorer. A leopard doesn't change his spots. He can still score goals. So for me, and what's actually great for me is to see that he can still do it. He can still absolutely do that. You don't lose that with age. You might lose your legs a little bit, and he was known for basically his pace and all that, but he still has that knack for scoring goals. So I would say if he is starting against Fulham, that would give me a little pause there, because I know he's still going to be dangerous. He was dangerous the last time Fulham played at the King Power Stadium. I always fear him. So that's an easy answer for me. I would be a little bit concerned if Jamie Vardy is starting.
Now, here we go then. Nobody, or very rarely do fans predict against a home team, but what do you think the score is going to be?
Okay, so I've given this a lot of thought, and a lot of this has to do with the progression that I saw from the preseason to what I, in a loss, saw against Manchester United. I think Fulham are basically, it's a home match. I think they have everything on their side. You could say that there's pressure on them, but I don't see it that way. So if you're going to ask me to predict, Chris, I'm going to predict 2-0 to Fulham. That's going to be my prediction. I'm going 2-0.
Now, in response to that, I would say the way I predicted that we were going to lose 3-0 to Tottenham, so I am the world's worst predictor. But on pre-season form, on our transfer window, on everything, that's what I thought. Having watched the Fulham, having watched the Spurs game, having watched a bit of the Fulham Man United game, if we can sort of stop you getting an early goal, I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't nick this one. I think it'll be a tight game, but I have gone Fulham 1, Leicester 2.
Okay.
As indeed, as if by magic, as I say that, Terry has agreed with me. But I've got to say, because I say this is one of the games that I think we have to really go for. Right. Two last very quick questions. First of all, very quickly, season's hopes. What are you hoping for? I mean, I know you've picked it yourself to be finished 7th, but what are you hoping for Fulham this season?
Well, for me, I just want to see Fulham continue to grow as a club and come together as a tight team that I saw in the preseason. I want to continue to see that. And I just want to see good, attractive football, Chris. And let's see where that gives Fulham, because I look at it this way. I've seen the light. This is now several seasons under Marco Silva. As long as you're telling me I don't have Scott Parker as my manager, I'm a happy man. I'll just leave it at that, because I got to tell you, it was the worst football I've seen in my life. And the argument that I'll get from Burnley supporters now, especially since they're winning and winning big underneath him, is look at how great they're doing under Scott Parker. And my answer to them would be, just you wait, because Parker ball will show itself. And Parker ball is something that no team should have. I'm still shocked that he got another job. So for me,
he was being linked. I mean, he was linked with us. He's linked with every job, I guess, at the moment. But I mean, I lived in Burnley for 20 odd years. I've got a very good friend on here who's a Burnley fan, Dan. And I did actually message him when that was appointed and then thank you for taking one for the rest of the 91 clubs in the football pyramid.
I'm just,
they're doing well, but if he does bring them back up, he won't keep them up. They need to have somebody else to do that. But look, I've got to ask you this. You can see at the bottom there an early cottage return for Dakova Reed. Tell me about him, and then we'll talk about Castagna very quickly, because the crowd haven't taken to him. I was very much, when we signed him, what the hell are we doing, giving a 31-year-old a 3-year contract when the club he's at the moment are only offering him 2? He then played in pre-season, and I have to say, he quite impressed me in pre-seasons in a couple of games. The fans weren't overly impressed with him in the Tottenham game, but look, he's only one game in.
Right.
But what can we look forward to? Is it a good deal that we've got? We've got him on a free, obviously.
Yep. The way I look at it with Bobby Decordova-Reid, we've had several players that I would put in this category of just players that will do anything to help you win. He played so many different positions, Chris. He was so valuable. He basically is a jack of all trades and a master of none, meaning that there is no one position that is really his position. If he's up front, I wouldn't say that's his best position. If he's basically one of the fullbacks, I'll tell you it's not. I'll say if he's in midfield, it's probably not his best. He's been number 10. He's been a striker. He's been so many different positions, but he's valuable. He's extremely valuable. As a starter, I will tell you the year that we got relegated with Parker, he was probably one of our best players. But that should tell you something. When Bobby Decordova-Reid is one of your best players, there's probably something wrong. He is a complement to your other players. So if you're thinking he is going to light it up, that's not Bobby Decordova-Reid, but he will help you win. I have a lot of good memories of Bobby. He scored a lot of very good goals for Fulham and always gave it 100%. So I hope that the Leicester City supporters give him a chance, because he might not light it up. He might not be the best goal scorer. He might let too many good opportunities go by the wayside, but he will score you goals and he will give you everything that he has. I think that you got a player that will help you. The question is how much? I'm not sure about that, because I didn't see him as a starter for Fulham, and he wasn't a starter for Fulham. But maybe under Cooper will find the role that best suits him, because at Fulham, under several managers, we never found that role for him. He was never the player that you thought was going to be the starter. And
he played on the wing against Tottenham.
Yeah.
The question I've got is, look, we're struggling for strikers. Daka is out. He's probably doing us a favour, because he's bloody useless at the moment. Vardy, he's 37. He'll stub his toe against the fridge and he'll be out for a month. And that's just unfortunately his age. And our other striker doesn't seem to be the flavour of the month. Could he play as the striker?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's done it. I'm telling you, he's done it. He did it with Bristol City too, by the way. He's done this. So this is something that Bobby Decker can do. And if I'm Steve Cooper, maybe I throw him out there and see if he can get it done, because it's not something that he did often with Fulham, but it's something that I know that he can do. Like I said, basically he'll do whatever Cooper tells him to do. If he says go up front, if you got 3 injuries at goalkeeper, he might go in there, for God's sakes, so I'm
we've got plenty of goalkeepers. We've got a full team of goalkeepers. And finally, because I know you're struggling for time, so I want to let you go. But finally, Timothy Castagna, obviously was with us for quite a few years. He went to you when we got relegated. Have you been happy with him? How's he settled in at Fulham?
I'm extremely happy with Timothy Castagna. What's interesting about him is that I've been doing Cottage Talk over the summer and making the argument that Castagna should be the starting right back. But what ended up happening was Castagna was coming off of coming off international duty, and Kenny Tete took advantage of that. So one thing about Silva is that he will stick with a player that's doing well for him and was there over the summer. So he went with Tete. But I'm telling you, the better player for me is Timothy Castagna. And I think that he should be Fulham starting right back now. But I'm telling you, it will be Kenny Tete against your team, but if it was me, it would be Castagna. He's been excellent. He's been just truly excellent. It was an excellent piece of business Fulham did by getting him. In fact, to the point where I wanted Fulham to sell Kenny Tete this summer to make room for a young right back by the name of Devin Tanton, but Fulham didn't agree with me, and now he's down at Chesterfield in League Two, so it tells you what I know. But,
yeah, exactly.
But,
what do we know? We are.
What do we know, right? What do we know? But to finish up on Castagna, huge fan, and he, for me, was one of Fulham's best players last year. Seriously.
Brilliant. Russ, look, as I say, appreciate that you've got to go. Thank you so much for giving me your time and coming on. I have put your links in the description below, but just tell everybody sort of where they can find you and follow you.
Sure. So you can follow me on X at Russ_Goldman, also on Cottage Talk, that X account. And you can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. I'm everywhere. And I'm also actually going to be starting a Patreon account soon. And if you want to join, not that a Leicester City supporter would want to join a Patreon account, but I'm going to be having one of those too.
You never know. You never know. We might just do that just as a bit of sympathy if Trump wins in November. Russ, take care, mate. I would wish you all the best, but I won't mean it. But
okay.
I do hope you wish you best for the season anyway.
Okay. I wish you the best too, and I'll just say I agree with you. Just coming from me, what you said about me, I'll say that about Leicester. Say best of luck, but I really don't mean it.
All the best, mate. Take care. Stay safe. Thanks so much to Russ there. A great guy. His link is in the description below, like I say, and his YouTube account as well. So do get over there, give him a follow. It's great. I love this. Is one of my favorite shows of the week. We get a chance to speak to fans from other clubs without it getting horrible, without it getting nasty. And it's really, really good to have a chat and have a bit of banter as well. Just catch up with a few chaps here. Is Skip starting? I haven't had a chance yet to look at to watch the. I was at the doctor's earlier, and it's all been one of those days today. So I haven't had a chance to have a look at and watch the press conference. But I think they're saying that he could possibly. But who would you leave out of that Spurs performance? After that Spurs performance, Dino's gone 2-1 for Leicester as well. Yes, he was, Terry. He was. Neil's just is laughing at something, and whether it was me, probably, I don't know. Jordan, are you? I know. Look, it's not Leicester's fault. It's not even John Rudkin's fault. And yes, by the way, can I just say to everybody that was having a go at me, when I put the post up about Jamie Vardy and how well he's been doing and what a great bit of signing for £1 million, didn't John Rudkin do well? Yes, I know it might not have been John Rudkin that signed him at that particular time. It's called sarcasm. Just to let you know. But AU, I knew who you meant. Hey, I knew who you meant. AU, A is a Y, by the way, not an H, but my spelling's awful. Yeah, not one that I would be shouting. I mean, look, if we sign him, he'll get my support. Is it going to be any worse than Daku? He's only 8 million, I believe, so it's not like we're going to be spending fortunes on him. I would still like Bergwijn. I really, really would. I would have sooner got Bergwijn in than probably Skip, to be honest with you. If Bergwijn was going to cost that sort of money, and we had to pick one of the players, Bergwijn. But look, Cooper knows Skip. But I definitely, Zaha is a winger again. You know, he's not an out-and-out striker. We need an out-and-out striker. We really, really do. And I'm not sure whether Zaha would have been the right person. Yes, he would have got the crowd excited, the fact that we've got him. Would he have gone back to Crystal Palace? Quite possibly. He returns there like a murderer returning to the scene of the crime, isn't he? But he always goes back there. And fair play, it's his club. Don't disrespect him for that. But I just think he could have been a bit of a troublemaker. He's got a bit of a reputation, hasn't he, off field? So Bergwijn, go and get him in. That's what I say. But it looks like we are going to be getting AU, if anybody. Just keep sending millions and old horses rather than give our youngsters talent. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying there. Is it Ziv? I hope I pronounced that right. Ziv. And I was very much saying that with Dakova Reed. What these old players do, though, when you look, we've got a lot of youngsters in the squad. Mavadidi is young. Fataru is young. Buenete is young. Do you remember we signed a certain old striker called Tony Cottee? He wasn't bad for us, was he? But we had a youngster in that squad who actually started out as a winger, and that was a certain Emil Heskey. And I've got to say all the best to Emil. I know he's got his problems at the moment, so wishing him all the best and sending him all the best from here. So, look, I remember Tony Cottee. He said, I have not got the legs to run. What I have got is the brains to be in the right place at the right time and let Emil Heskey doing the running. And I can remember watching, I think it was not the Lens game, the game before that. I can't remember who it was now, the German team. And Dakova Reed got to the byline. Somehow, I didn't think he was going to keep hold of the ball. He did. He crossed it into the box. Where was Daka? Our fastest player. Nowhere to be seen. He's still in the bloody halfway up the field. Vardy would have been in the box because he's got that footballing brain thinking, look, I can't run like I used to, but let me get in there just in case something falls for me. And maybe that's what AU will offer us. I don't know. Time will tell. But yeah, Ronald says it exactly there. Whoever wears the shirt, I'll back them. I will back them until they are unbackable. Does that make sense? You know what I mean with Daka. You know what I mean. It is. Look, we are not the most. Everybody keeps saying, yeah, but we've got this amazing training facility. So has everybody else now. So has everybody else. They're all getting these new training facilities because, everybody got write-offs against FFP and PSR by buying women's teams and by improving your facilities. But we are not the Leicester that had just won the FA Cup. We are not the Leicester that was in the Champions League, that was in Europa, that won the Premier League. We're not that club anymore. And it is a trouble attracting people. That's what I liked about Skip, right? Love him or hate him, he wanted to come to the club. Harry Winks, we were a championship team. He was good enough, I believe, to play at a lot of Premier League clubs, but he wanted to come to Leicester to resurrect his career. Players want to come. Yes, I like that because you can teach them how to pass the ball. You can teach them zonal defending or whatever you want to do. You can teach them, well, hopefully not zonal. I don't like it, but you know what I'm saying. Those are the sort of things, techniques and all that you can teach them. What you can't teach them is desire. And if players don't want to be at the club, look at Tielemans. How awful was he towards the end because he didn't want to be here. Luke, Dakova Reed is a fantastic player. Yes, he might not score loads, but he leaves the pitch with sweat on his shirt and does his best for the team. Yeah, and that's it. He took a lot of stick against Spurs in the watch-along, and I was like, seriously? Does he deserve that? I don't think he did deserve it, if I'm honest with you. All right, he wasn't up for man of the match, but he wasn't awful. He wasn't awful by any stretch. I think people were being a little bit harsh on him. Neil, you are very kind, sir. You are very, very kind indeed. Ray has gone 2-1. Is that now? You put the Fox after the 1. Is that 2-1 to the Foxes or 2-1 to Fulham? Ian Marshall. Yeah. Can you remember him? Oh, Marshy. You got to love a bit of Marshy. Oh, I used to love that guy. He was no David Beckham in the dress department, was he? But my God, yeah, he got some great goals. Atletico Madrid away in the what was then the European Cup. Tony Cotti, I presume you're on about there. But look, there we go. We are going to be back. We will be back. We're always back. Well, when aren't we here? You're going to miss me for 5 weeks. There's going to be no shows for 5 weeks. What are you going to do? We're back with this tomorrow. It's the prediction show, because I tell you what, that is what is coming up.
Coming up next on Leicester Till I Die TV.
Seven o'clock tomorrow with me and Bradley. That rhymes. Me and Bradley. We'll be doing the prediction. I had a really bad start. I'm doing my Graham Taylor. I don't believe it. Not well. Do I not like that? That was what he did, wasn't it? I don't believe it. That was Victor Meldew. I'm already not doing well in the prediction league. I may have to declare myself bankrupt and withdraw. But look, it's all for fun. 7 o'clock tomorrow. Join us, and we'll have the table for you then as well. But thank you all very much for watching. Most grateful thanks to Russ for coming on. Different time zone in America, of course. So thank you very much. His links are available in the description. Thank you to the mods that were in for keeping the chat safe. Mainly thank you to everybody there, though, that's been listening and joining in the chat. Really do appreciate it. Appreciate your comments. And like I said before, if you're watching this on Catch Up, please do put your comments in the description below. We do read them and try and react to some of them. And if you're listening via your favorite podcast platform, thank you for lending me your ears. I really do appreciate it. On all the main podcast platforms, YouTube, I think Google has stopped now, but Spotify, Apple, you can hear us on all of those, of course, being backed by TalkSport. Don't forget to like the video, please. That really does help the channel with our algorithms and gets us seen on places we wouldn't see. So the likes, it's free, doesn't commit you to anything. Please do. And if you're feeling that way out, why not subscribe to the channel? That is an even bigger help. And the biggest help of all, if you want to become a subscriber, it's $1.99 a month. Helps keep the channel running. It isn't cheap. I just spent 70 quid today on getting something to help me watch the matches. So you help us support. And if you are a member for $1.99 of your good English pounds a month, you get a chance to come on a show. So consider that. But I will see you tomorrow night at 7. This has been LTID TV. I've been Chris. I will be back. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.